going to be taking a look at the element of design we refer to as line. And just as a quick reminder, when we're talking about the elements of design, we're talking about the building blocks, sort of the structural visual elements that work towards creating either an image or a sculpture or some sort of visual representation. So without delaying, let's get started. We're going to jump right in to investigating the concept of line. So we're going to switch over here, take a look at our presentation, and our primary learning goals for today are going to be the following. So number one, we need to understand that lines have the ability of making connections between what we see and emotions that we are feeling, and that artists will purposefully use various elements and the qualities of line or types of line in order to try and evoke a specific feeling or emotion in their audience. In order for us to be able to understand that process, we need to be able to also describe the different qualities of line so that we're able to carefully and clearly articulate our thinking. And this is going to be leading into the notions of contour drawing, and then also starting to think about how do we use these qualities or these types of lines in order to help us create visually engaging images. In particular, we could be thinking about contour drawings specifically. Okay? So this is going to be a hands-on activity. Right? So you're going to need your sketchbook and perhaps either a colored marker or the Sharpie from your art kit, something in order to be able to kind of record what it is that you're going to be sketching out over the next few slides. So essentially, I'm going to be providing you with a word on the screen, and I'm going to be asking for you to be able to draw that word or the meaning of that word by just using a line, right? So no symbols, no representations, just line in its simplest form. Okay? So for example, if I were to use the word erratic, I might generate a line that kind of looks like this, right? Erratic means it's kind of all over the place. There's no clear sense of direction, changes in an unpredictable and unanticipated way. Right? So if you don't know what a word means, right, you want to be thinking about a strategy in order to kind of fill in that gap. Right? So the simplest thing to do would be to pause the video and look up the definition of the word in the dictionary, or using an online dictionary as well. This would be another option. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few seconds here to get yourself set up. You're going to need something to draw with as well as your sketchbook, and then we'll get started. Okay, so if you need a minute, pause the video here. Okay, so the first word that we're going to draw is the word peaceful. Okay, so as you're going through this process, think about what line quality creates peace. How would you do that with just a single solitary line? I'm going to give you about 15 seconds in order to do that. And if I'm moving too quickly, remember, again, just pause the video. Okay, our second word is nervous. How do you end up drawing? Okay, our second word is nervous. What does a nervous word look like? Our third word is elegance. What does something that is elegant look like? What kind of line would you use in order to communicate the idea of elegance? Okay, the notions of being approachable. right? It's the idea of being welcoming. You know, this is somebody that you can kind of go up to and start a conversation with right away. You're not apprehensive in any way about coming up and interacting with somebody else. Right, so what does approachable look like if you were to draw it with one or a few different lines? Furious. How would you draw a line to communicate fury? One of my favorite words of all time is the idea of being stealthy. I kind of think of spies sneaking around and trying not to be seen by somebody else. How would you create or communicate that idea of being stealthy? And proud. What is a proud line? At rest. Right, so with being at rest, there is no motion. So how do you capture that idea of being at rest? By drawing one or a couple of different lines. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to another camera view here for you to be able to take a look at some of the important information that we are going to be needing to take a look at. And before we do that, though, we're going to be taking a look at these two concepts in particular. Number one is the fluid line, and number two is the sketchy line. And making sure that we understand the difference between the two. Okay, so in order to help this, I'm going to do a quick demonstration, and I'm just going to wheel my chair over here in order to be able to provide you with a little bit of a clearer sense of what I'm talking about. Okay, so we talked about fluid lines being confident. Okay, so a fluid line means that I put my pen down, and I draw the line in one solid motion. And whether that's kind of a straight line or a curved line, it doesn't really matter. As long as the line is created by putting the marker down and drawing straight across. Right? We can get a variety of different options going as well. Right? So these lines tend to be much cleaner. Sketchy lines are typically used as we're trying to kind of find out where we are wanting to draw something. So I'm going to create some sketchy lines that kind of mimic these fluid lines. And you'll notice that I'm drawing much more with my fingers as opposed to my wrists or even my elbow. And when I'm drawing with my fingers, the lines get a lot shorter, and as a result, they kind of start to overlap each other a little bit. Okay. So both lines are equally valid to use, okay? But you got to be thinking about the context in which you're wanting to use them. Right? Something that's more graphic, you'll tend to want to use these fluid lines. Something that's maybe more expressive, we want to be working with these ones here. The challenge for many students, however, is that they draw halfway in between the two. There's a sense of it being kind of fluid, but it's also kind of sketchy. And what I'm going to be encouraging you to do is kind of take one of those two different types of lines and really work to refining the drawing techniques and skills that you have in that particular area. Right, so we refer to these as the two different types of line. Right, down here, we have the different qualities of lines. So we can make these different types of lines using these specific strategies here. When we're talking about direction, there are three directions that we need to be thinking about. We have the vertical line, the horizontal line, and the diagonal line. Right, and I always think of trees when I'm thinking about line direction, right, and what these lines mean. So vertical lines, when they're up and down, right, a tree is standing tall, it's proud, it's strong, right? A tree when it's fallen over is kind of at rest, right? And it's kind of dead or decaying. And diagonal is the act of the tree falling down, right? It's coming down, it's on an angle, and it's in motion. So that creates that sense of energy. Curvy lines, right, are just as they kind of say, and these are the ones that we use to kind of create that sense of gracefulness, and there's energy, but it's not a frantic energy. It's kind of more controlled, right? And we might use these in order to create a sense of delicacy in an image, right? In contrast to sharp lines, which are kind of those zigzag, pointy lines like this here, right? And often these are going to be associated with kind of high energy moments, strong emotions as well. Line thickness, okay, refers to whether they are thin, okay, or the line itself is very, very thick, okay, or it could be kind of like somewhere in between the two. And by using different thicknesses, we create various areas of visual interest and intensity. Right? The thicker the line, typically what ends up happening is they're a little bit bolder and they stand out quite a bit more. Okay? Thickness and weight are related to each other. Okay? Whereas thickness is about how wide the line is. Weight is about the amount of pressure that we are applying to the surface of the paper, in this case with our Sharpie. So what I'm going to do here, in order to put a low weight, I'm going to kind of press very, very lightly. And in order to increase my weight, I'm going to press harder. Right? And as you can, it's kind of hard to see this one with a marker, but I'll do this with a pencil as well. Okay, so we have our light weight, right? So I'm not pressing very hard, versus our heavy weight, where I'm pressing with more intensity. Right? So again, this idea of delicacy can work with some of these different concepts as well. And then the last quality of line that we need to be taking a look at is this idea of the broken line. Right? And this could be a series of dots or dashes, okay? Or it could even be a series of different shapes. It could be a series of squares that you put together, or triangles, or a combination of different shapes, right? So the idea of a broken line is that there are smaller elements that work together to give us the impression that a line exists. Okay? So we have different types of lines, and we also have different qualities. Okay? And we can combine these qualities together, and we can combine the types and qualities together in order to get something that is even a little bit more visually engaging. Okay? So for example, if I were to combine line thickness with line, let's say curvy line, for example, I can create something that is quite engaging. Right? So I start with one type, and then I'm going to slowly start to build this up, and manipulate the line a little bit, and by changing the line thickness of this curve, I can create a kind of a different feeling. Instead of it just being a curve, it begins to kind of look more like a ribbon, for example. So this could be a combination of curvy plus thickness. Okay. I'm going to go back to my pencil here, and perhaps I want to try looking at line weight with, let's say, line weight and sharp lines. Okay, so maybe on my upstrokes I press light, and on my downstrokes I press hard. Light, hard, light, hard, light, hard, light, hard. Okay, so this one we have weight and it being sharp. Okay. And likewise, right, we can even go back and we can start taking a look at the different qualities as well, and types. So I could do a fluid zigzag line, but I can also do a sketchy zigzag line. Okay. And it's about finding unique and interesting ways of combining these different
types and qualities, that's going to help to create visual interest in your work. So
in our video, I'm just going to come back to our display. And we have our types of lines, right? The fluid, confident, assured, you know where you're going, the sketchy, as well as the variety of different line qualities, right? And again, we're using these together in order to be able to create much more visual interest in your work and to create that sense of confidence in being able to create a more finished and polished drawing. All right. Good luck. Take a look at those ideas and see how you can apply those to the creation of some of the sort of sketchbook assignments or other assessments that are posted down at the bottom of our Elements of Design line website page. All right, good luck. And if you have any questions, please make sure that you're reaching out to your teacher. Have a great day. Bye.